Thursday night sip and sew. Usually it's just me, but tonight it's also my mom, April. So,
hi, everybody.
We're very excited to have her share a new skill with us. So, tonight we are doing foundation paper piecing, which I've never done. I've watched you do it a lot, but I've never actually done it. And so I thought that tonight we could work on some foundation paper piecing. We have a new subscription with it, but also Mom has been doing it a lot lately because my wedding quilt is using foundation paper piecing. So that's what we're actually going to be working on tonight to show you guys how to do this technique. Hi, Judy.
Hi, everybody.
Barb, Robin, Evelyn. Welcome, guys. So welcome to the Sip and Sew. Robin's just watching. I don't know if you guys have a foundation paper piecing project in mind or if you're just interested in it and you want to see what it's like. Maybe you have your eye on the super cute paper piecing subscription, but you want to see how it works first. So I know that there might be lots of different reasons you all are tuning in tonight. Maybe you're just curious. So let us know what your experience is with FPP. It's annoying to say over and over again.
Yeah, I'll just say FPP so we don't have to.
Yeah.
Hi, Christine and Marcia.
Barb, what did she say? I just finished a cool top that was at least half foundation paper piecing. Okay,
Oh,
so Barb's
cool.
done it.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Share with us your experience or why you're interested or if you're just curious or whatever. We are going to reference our new super cute paper piecing subscription, which is the link to sign up for that is the link is in the description of this video. And we also made a video on YouTube last year, which is like edited. It's a little bit shorter, and there's also steps on the screen. And it uses the projects from the Super Cute Paper Piecing subscription. So if you are curious about this, that YouTube video is an option for you guys to go back and watch, like once you actually have your projects to do them. So this is an example of one of the projects in that subscription. Tell us why do we foundation paper piece this instead of traditionally?
Okay, so one of the benefits of foundation paper piecing is that you can do really small, skinny pieces, and you can create shapes that are very difficult to do with traditional paper piecing. So you can get kind of a rounded edge to something,
or pointy,
very pointy, without applique. So, let's see here. With this, no, this is what's on right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can get it in here. Okay, you see that raindrop and how many small pieces there are around that to create that shape, the raindrop shape.
So there's 6 different projects in this subscription. They're all kind of bag related, and you get everything to make the whole thing. So like everything to make the entire bag, and then all of the patterns are in this book, which you would get month 1. So that's the subscription coming up. It starts in July. It's only 6 months long, and it's $29.99 a month, which is not that bad for all of the materials to make each bag every month. And one of the things we did is we made it go from easiest to hardest. So this raindrop bag will be the last thing you make. And the first thing you make is this little tray.
And what I wanted to say about the reason I think this is a good place to start this subscription is because it's a project instead of a whole entire quilt. So you're only paper piecing one small part of a project, and then you're sewing the rest of it together. Like, you're only paper piecing the apple, and then you're sewing the rest of the bag together with the zipper and everything. So this is an example. This is the first one, and you paper piece the petals inside. Like that. I don't know if you can see. This one's kind of hard to see because it blends in with the sides, but all of this is paper pieced to get that kind of the round edge to the flower petals.
Yeah, and there's many more projects in here that you could do after you finish these if you end up really liking them. So that's the subscription coming up. Wanted to let you all know about it. The link is in the description of this video. I can also put it here on the screen. There's a few comments coming in. Let me read some comments before we get started. Maria is watching us from Berlin.
How exciting. You're visiting your daughter, I bet. That's so great.
I'm so glad you made it there, Maria. That's awesome. Stephanie's just curious. Oh, Elizabeth, yes, I got engaged in October. Maybe you haven't watched anything since then, but I got engaged in October, so Mom is making me my wedding quilt. You can kind of see a square behind. We're going to be working on that tonight. And I'll zoom out and show you guys what she has so far at the end. Amanda likes EPP but never done FPP. Interested and curious. Amanda, what's funny about the difference is they're almost the opposite of each other. So EPP, you're wrapping the fabric around the paper, and FPP, you're sewing the fabric to the paper. Either way, you end up taking the paper out. And anyways,
Yeah.
they're both techniques to get very precise shapes.
Yeah, but you get a different effect with
Yeah.
them. Yeah. They do serve different purposes.
Hi, Karen, Luana. Robin is curious. Dale, I'm working very slowly on 3 Harry Potter bookshelf quilts.
Oh, wow.
All paper pieces. That's awesome. That is such a cool project. Susan, you've tried and taken a class, but it won't sink in. Okay, so we have this, but we also have, like I said, the YouTube video. So this video today will probably be a little bit longer. The YouTube video is just like 10 to 15 minutes. So if you want something that's like all the step-by-step, a little bit like quicker, but also so you can pause and do it and then play again or whatever, then that's a great choice as well. So we have kind of 2 different options for you. Okay, so tonight we're going to be working on a quilt that has, build it by the block. And then we've mentioned the subscription where you make the paper piece and you put it in a bag, or you could put it in a pillow or something like that. But then there's also projects like this.
Yes. So this is a pattern that this is a whole entire quilt. Sorry, gotta hold this the right way. This whole thing is a quilt that is foundation paper piece. It's a 44 by 60 quilt that I'm gonna make for my other daughter who loves giraffes. So I just wanted you to see that the pieces can actually get pretty big. Like I just showed you on the subscription projects that the pieces can be really skinny and really tiny and small. And then this one, the pieces are going to be big. They're going to be like inches big. Okay, so that's, and then I also wanted to show you just different ways that the patterns come. Can I have the book? Mm-hmm. In the super cute paper piecing book in the back is the patterns. This right here. So you have to, you rip it out of the book and you unfold it and then you copy it onto foundation paper. And then the same with this one. This one comes with, it's almost like a whole entire folder of a pattern. But see, it has the pieces like this. So the pieces are labeled, they're usually labeled by numbers or letters. That's upside down, but you get what I mean. And then sometimes they have a pattern on them. Like this one has a pattern on it. The one I'm going to show you tonight, I'm going to work on tonight, has a pattern on it.
So my question is, do you actually sew on this paper? So you open it up and you sew on it?
No. So you have to actually get foundation paper. So
okay.
I was going to show you next. I have, so someone mentioned Carol Doak. I assume that's how you say her name. So this is legal size. I had to get legal size for the double wedding ring quilt that I'm making for Kelsey's wedding. And this is the 8.5 by 14. But the 8.5 by 12 is what we use for the subscription. So it is just slightly thinner than printer paper.
But you can put it in the printer and
but you put it through the printer, yes. So that's what I was going to say. This one, it is bigger. It's like 11 by 14 or something. And so either I need to find paper piecing paper that is this big. But the instructions recommend that you trace, so I could trace this on there, or I could go to like Staples with my foundation paper and have them copy it for me. Depends on how you want to do that, because you want to preserve your original pattern is the idea. And also, like in this book, they did it double-sided to save space, so obviously you would need to copy that one. But then the one that I'm making for Kelsey and Matthew, was a digital pattern that I bought, a digital file. So it came with a whole bunch of instructions.
We tried to get this pattern for the shop, but it's like the lady who designed it sells it on Etsy, so we can't carry it at the shop.
Yeah, she didn't want to do wholesale. So, but I've always wanted to do a double wedding ring quilt. My sister made one. Back when, you cut each piece out with scissors, and she did the curved piecing, and I've always just loved that pattern so much, but I just could not get into the paper piecing, the curved piecing side of it. Maybe someday I'll be interested in that. So I came across the double wedding ring in using foundation paper piecing, and so I got really excited. So this one was a digital pattern, and all I did was put the special paper into the printer and just hit print on my computer, and it printed out. So I had to print out a bunch of these to make as many squares as I'm going to make.
So, there we go. Why can't I figure out what direction this is? So that's what it looks like so far. Can you point out one block to us?
Okay, one block that we're going to show you tonight is
there we go.
This right here.
Yeah. So one of those like a white and a pink side with the blue and the green is one block. And so you need 4 to create one ring. And then you have to make 80.
Yeah.
So this
make 20 of the small ones so I can make, or 80 of the small ones so I can make 20 of the big.
Yeah. So that's a gonna take a while project. Might not be done for the wedding because the wedding is in 1 month.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So
so when it comes out, for me, the one I'm doing now, it comes out like this on the paper. So see how it says C, 2 C's and 2 D's, and then it has a different print on the pattern.
So you mean like the squiggly lines and the dotted lines, and that shows you that like different fabric goes there?
Yeah, so you really do have to study your pattern when you're doing foundation paper piecing, and you have they explain to you, depending on what pattern you're using, how to choose your colors, that kind of thing. So onion paper, I think that would be too thin, Darlene.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's very, very thin, almost see-through paper. So mine, wouldn't you say it's like very thin printer
It's really
paper?
thin, but the texture's the same. It's just like the weight is different.
Yeah. So this you print it out, and then you cut out each piece of actual paper. So I have my papers here. My older sister loves to help me with this part because she was an LED major, and it makes her remember like making her bulletin boards and laminating everything and cutting it all out by hand. Okay, so I'll explain more as I go, but I'm just going to keep repeating myself with different things. So see how each one of them is a different pattern. So on my quilt, the dots are green, the stripes are taupe, and the squiggles are pink, and then the solids are blue. And
so you have like a key that tells you
I have a key, and I chose those colors. I studied the pattern to see where they were going to show up.
And I see it includes the seam allowance for
yeah, and that's what I was going to say. So it does include the seam allowance. So I'll show you how to once I make a few strips, I will show you how to sew them together.
Darlene, we do carry the Carol Doan paper. But I think we might have to order more because the ones that we currently have are in our beginner foundation paper piecing kit. Do we have any outside of those?
No.
Okay.
We just have, well, I don't think so. We only carry the 8.5 by 12, 8.5 by 11, sorry. But we can get the 8.5 by 14.
Real quick, are you going to show the tools in the...
Do you want me to do it as I go or show it to them now?
I think show it to them now just so they know. We have a foundation paper piecing beginner kit. Amanda, I don't think this is what you're asking for, though. You're asking for like a project. That right now, the ones in the subscriptions are the only kits that we have. But we do have a beginner kit, which is all the tools that you would need to get started. So it includes a pack of paper, which is why I'm saying it right now because Darlene just asked that. It includes a pack of paper. And then
it includes this. This is a fun little tool. It's called a seam roller. And I'm going to show you how to use all these throughout the sew along. And then it includes this ruler pack. It's called an add a quarter ruler. And I'll show you how to use these. They have a lip that is a 1/4 inch lip. One is 6 inches and one is 12 inches. Oops, sorry. Alarm on my phone. And they also have this very interesting, like, depth. I don't know if you can see, like, this. Is that better? See how it gets really skinny over here? And then it gets wider over here. And I'll show you why.
And you're also going to show us why you want both sizes.
And I'll show you why you want both sizes.
The kit comes with both of those sizes, the seam roller and a pack of paper.
Yeah.
And we do also suggest that you have a rotating cutting mat. Is that what you like to use?
Definitely. I use both sizes, the 8 by 8 and the 14 by, or the 13 by 13.
So that's not included in the kit, but we do carry those separately just because I know some people might already have one size or the other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay. So that's all of like the tools you need to get started. Those are different examples of different projects you can do with FPP, as well as an overview of the subscription that we have starting in July. And make sure that you check out the YouTube video if you want to sign up for that subscription. So now Mom is going to get into more of like the step-by-step. But first, does everyone have their drink? Because this is a sip and sew.
It is a sip
Mom
and sew.
chose dun, da, 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 water.
I'm so thirsty today. I don't know why. So.
And I don't drink this very often. Like, just a disclaimer, hardly ever. But I did have one in the fridge. This is the only beer that I like. It's Rheingeist Bubbles, and it's not really, it's technically beer, but it doesn't taste like it. It's a very fruity, it's called a rosé beer. It's like a sparkling, fruity beer. So anyways, instead of wine, for some reason, I felt like this. I'll have like half a can and then put it in the fridge and then drink it the rest later, and all the carbonation will be gone because I don't know how to drink beer. Anyways, I'm mostly just going to be watching tonight, so I thought I can just kick back.
That's
and I can sit here, sip my beer, ask my questions.
Boss me around probably too.
Darlene says water. Oh, Julie
water.
does too. Oh, Sue. Okay, we've got lots of boring water drinkers here. Okay, all right.
Yes. Hi, Jane. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jane, I agree. I'll take sips of Matt's beer, but I'm not a huge beer drinker. Okay, so let's switch our cameras over so we can see the workspace.
Okay. Awesome. Here we go. Let's see how this is.
Yolanda has tea. All these waters. You guys got to get creative. It's okay. I won't judge you for your water if you won't judge me for my beer.
There you go. That's a good deal. Okay, so Kelsey said earlier that in the tutorial video I made for the foundation paper piecing club or subscription, which is on our YouTube channel. So you can just use that. You don't have to be in the subscription to access that video. So if you want to try foundation paper piecing, you could go there and get the general idea of it. And it's kind of a review of what I'm going to show you tonight. And we edited it and put like graphics in over top of it with the words, like the list of things that you need to repeat each step to do the process. So if you're like me, at the very beginning, I was like, step 1, look at the paper. Step 2, find a piece of fabric that will fit that side. Because it's so like, it's kind of mind bending at first. But then once you get the hang of it, it's just like, really, really great. Well water. Julie, I grew up on well water. I filter my water through coffee beans. That's great.
That's hilarious, Jen.
Ice
I like
cubes.
that. Oh, it's funny. Amanda, I haven't had a soda in a week, so I'm doing whiskey sour or margarita.
Nice.
That's fun.
Okay, so I'm going to start off by showing you all this, what I have picked out to start off with. It's hard because with the
Do you want me to move it?
graphics.
That.
Like to fit. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is one of my, I'm going to start with the C because it's bigger and I thought it would be easier for you guys to see this. Ha, get it? C. Okay, so what you want to do is you have your paper with the pattern piece on it. And then you have, I want to talk to you a little bit about how you know what size fabric to use. Okay, so this is the size that I want to cover. And I'm going to show you a finished one while I'm doing this so you know what I'm talking about. So this is a C when it's finished. Okay, so I need to start off, the very first one's a little different and then the rest get repetitive. So the first one, you have the wrong side of the fabric, which actually I should probably pick a different one because it's a solid.
Oh, it's hard to see.
Yeah, it's hard to see. Okay, so you can see the colors that we're using. This is one of the deco stitches. So here's the wrong side of this, and then I'm going to put it on the wrong side of the paper. And I'm going to make sure that my C shape is completely covered, the fabric completely covers. And you want it to completely go over. You want it to go beyond the lines going into the spaces next to it, the shapes next to it. And then pin it. And you want to pin it to the side close to one of the lines. Doesn't matter which one, because you're going to start by folding on this line. Okay, so
this is the wrong side facing the fabric?
Yeah, so the very first step is wrong sides together, which I know if you're a garment constructionist, that feels very counterintuitive. So wrong sides together, wrong side of the fabric pinned to the wrong side of the paper. Okay, then we take our ruler. So this is the add a quarter ruler, and we're going to use our thin edge here.
Show them the depth again. So
yeah,
if you can see, okay,
yeah, that way.
This is thin, and then it kind of gradually gets thicker, and then you have a lip here. So that's kind of the build as she's doing this. Remember that this is like tapered off.
Yeah. So this is tapered off so that you can use it to fold over. Okay. So you're going to take the really skinny edge of the ruler and line it up against the line, and then fold your paper back over it. And it lets you lead and shows you like which angle the paper should be. Like it decides which angle the paper folds over. Okay. So you do that, and then so you're holding onto your ruler to create the crease. Then you keep your ruler in your hand and flip it over so the lip covers over. Move that out of the way. The lip covers over the fold of the paper. The first one is a little hard because my pin is under there and it's resisting. It's resisting my
But this lip catches on the paper.
Yeah, so the lip is catching on the fold of the paper. I don't know if you can see how it's kind of bouncing on the lip. Okay, then I'm taking my rotary cutter. I use the small 28mm cutter.
Have you tried the bigger one? Or you just like do you know if you...
I'm trying to think why I started using this. I think it would work either way. And you trim that off.
So it looks like you have to have more than a quarter overlap on all sides.
Yes, exactly. So you have the 1/4 inch, that lip is a 1/4 inch wide, and so it creates that 1/4 inch seam allowance there. That's why I was saying when we look here, that's why you need the piece of fabric to be at least a 1/4 inch bigger than the shape that you're going to try to cover. Okay, so I folded it over and then I trimmed. Okay, now we are going to open the paper up, flip it over fabric side up, and the side that I just trimmed is what we're going to work on. I'm going to take right there and I'm going to match my next. So for me, the next fabric is the pink one. So I'm going to grab my pink. I'm doing right sides together. There's a lot of flipping that like from here to here, from here to here. Okay, so this is the one I just trimmed, and my wavy says that it's pink. So I'm right sides together and I'm lining up edge to edge.
So at this point, it looks like it doesn't matter what the lines on the paper say because you're not looking at the lines on the paper.
Right.
So trimming this to exactly a 1/4 inch would be important.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so my raw edges are together. Now I'm going to flip to sew. Remember I said there's a lot of flipping. So now we're going to flip it back over. I'm going to put it under my machine, and I'm going to sew right on this line. Now I'm not going to sew into my 1/4 inch.
Okay, I'm going to have you guys do this so that you guys can see her sew the first line. Okay.
Okay, so I'm just setting it down, and you want to set your machine to 1.8. This helps the perforation and helps make it so that you can rip your paper easier later. Okay, so I'm starting at the beginning of that line. I'm going to back tack a few stitches. I'm going to slow down because I'm approaching my seam allowance. Stop right there. I'm going to back tack a few stitches. Okay, Now I don't need my pen anymore. That's the only pen you use in foundation paper piecing is the very first.
Did you see Becky's question about if you ever use a glue stick for the first piece instead?
Oh, you could do that. Yeah.
I feel like would that make it harder to tear them out?
I think it would be the same as an English paper piecing.
Yeah.
In terms of difficulty tearing it out. Because you are going to tear it off. I'm going to show you that. Yes, Ginger, 1.8 stitch length is what I use. When I'm sewing the fabric on, when I'm sewing the seams together with another piece, then I use a 2.0 stitch length. Okay, no problem, Cindy. Welcome. Okay, so we're flipping again to the front. And we're going to open the fabric up. Okay, now we're going to use my handy dandy seam roller here. And I just finger press it and then I seam roll it open.
So I was observing when we were setting this up that there's no ironing station. So you don't need an iron to do any part of this.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, that is correct. Oh yeah, that's a great idea, Cindy. Using a light box to make sure you have the area covered because that is very important. So you can see my pieces are big enough. Like I got really used to what size fabric I would need. When you first get used to your project, like you do a lot of experimenting about how big of a piece of fabric you need to cover that space because it depends on the angle that it's going to be sewn at and it has to flip over, and sometimes when you flip it you did it wrong and it's like not big enough and that kind of thing. So you have to experiment with it a little bit. Okay, now we're going to just repeat the process that we did before. We're going to take the skinny part of our ruler. Okay, I'm going to get right up to that line, and then I fold the paper over, keep the ruler in my hand. This is how I remember what comes next. And flip it over, because I'm going to use the lip. I'm going to lay it down on my fold. Okay, and that's how I know where to trim. So I'm going to turn my rotating cutting mat and trim it. So there you can see it's a perfect 1/4 inch seam. Open the paper, and my next color is going to be green. Okay, for me, I know that just because I know my pattern. All right, so now my green has to be a big piece. Okay, because it's a bigger section to cover. So now I'm putting it right sides together, and I've learned you have to sometimes kind of mess with, should I go this way? Do I go this way with it? And I did a lot of ripping at the beginning because I'm like, oh, that angle was way off. But now I know so I'm looking at the raw edges, and it doesn't have to be precise. It's not like, because we're going to trim everything, all the excess off. So it's a little different in that regard. It doesn't have to be so precise, but you do want your raw edges together. And then you flip it over with the line on top to sew. Go back to my machine. And I'm not sewing in the seam allowance again. I'm just starting at the shape. Slowing down. Okay. And I back tack a few stitches. Okay, and then I flip again. And now we have this, and it covered my paper. Success! So that's what you want. You want it to completely cover the paper below it. Okay, so I'm going to use my seam roller to roll that seam, kind of press it down. And this is what it looks like so far. You might still kind of be like, what is this supposed to be? What is this going to look like? But have faith. It's coming. You'll see. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over. Now, I ran out of, I did this one, and I did this one, and I did this one. So now I'm going to go back here and do this one. I'm going to work out. I worked out one way, and now I'm going to work back another way. Some patterns, the pieces are numbered. Like every single piece has a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so it'll say, like, you'll do the line between the 1 and the 2, and then the line between the 2 and the 3, and then the line between the 3 and the 4, like that. Okay, so now I'm going to do this line here. So I get the skinny edge of my ruler. Hey guys, just had some visitors come up and join us for a minute. They didn't want to come on camera. I don't know why. Okay, fold over.
I'm noticing Fran's tip. If you have an extension table that's clear, you could put a light under it.
Oh, and use it as
a light box.
That's brilliant. I love that, Fran. That's great. Okay, so same thing. We're flipping over and we're using the 1/4 inch edge of this ruler. Trim it off.
So this pattern is very like, you just go in 2 directions. But when we were looking at some of these other samples, I feel like, you know, with like these pieces, you're kind of going all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the numbers. That pattern was numbered. So you did the line between 1 and 2, and then you did the line between 2 and 3. That's how you knew where to go next.
Okay.
And I messed up on that too and had to rip it out and be like, oh, I went to 4 for some reason, and would go back. But oh, why? Thank you, Jennifer. I am a Ahava fan. I don't know if you know that. It's an like the Dead Sea from Israel. It's that brand. I love their lotion. Their stuff is just so great.
Amanda, she's asking if you need the rulers for the subscription. I think technically you would just need a ruler that you could mark a 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
But once you try it, like Mom did try the other way first, and then she used these rulers and was like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier, which is why that's included in our foundation paper piecing beginner kit, because we really do recommend having these ones. So you could do without, but then
if you were just doing a simple project, then you could do without it. Like one tutorial I watched, instead of using the skinny edge of this, she used a thick postcard that came in the mail. So you could totally do something like that. But if you are going to be doing a lot, like I'm doing this whole entire quilt that is foundation paper piecing, then I would recommend the rulers.
So if you're going to do the subscription, you'll be doing at least 6 projects. It's probably worth it. But technically, you don't have to.
Okay. Looking it up now. Awesome. It's Ahava. Ahava.
Becky, are you asking if we sell the ruler set outside of the bundle? Yes, we do. I think we have just the large size, and then we have the combo of the large and the small. So it's called Add a 1/4 Plus.
I'm just continuing on. This is going to be my last piece on this strip, and then I'm going to have Kelsey try it.
Yes, and I get to try.
I'll let her work on her own quilt a little bit.
I know. I actually offered. I was like, "Do you want me to help? This is going to take you so long." And she was like, "This is my gift. Let me do it."
Yeah.
So I haven't helped at all, except sometimes I rip paper out because that part does take a long time.
Yeah.
I follow this girl on Instagram who just designed her own foundation paper piecing pattern, and it's really cute. And she made this funny reel about how she puts together the whole quilt with the paper still in it, and then has to rip all the paper out at the end. But we've been ripping the paper out per block.
Yeah.
And so I messaged her, and she was like, oh my gosh, it's like the worst thing when you have to rip out all the paper at the end of the quilt. So I messaged her and I said, is there a reason you do that instead of by the block? And she was like, no, not really. So I was like, okay, as long as you can rip it out by the block, that sounds better to me.
Yeah. There were no instructions in my pattern of how to do that. So I just kind of made that up. Oh, I was also going to show you all, once you learn what size pieces you're going to need, then I just made a whole stack. So I have a stack of blues that are all, you rough estimate it. You're not cutting precisely at all. I did cut a bunch of 2.5 inch strips using the strip cutter ruler because that's so easy. And then I just cut with my scissors like a bunch of squares in the different colors that I needed.
Fran wants to see a portion of the quilt. So this is one block. So when she's making all of these strips, and so you can see it's like they build up to be this block, which is really cool. And then 4 of them together create the ring, which is like this. I don't know if you can see the whole thing in here, but as you piece that together.
That has both rings. So there's because it's called the double wedding ring, it has, in this quilt, one of the rings is pink and then one of the rings is white. And you have to do quite a bit before you see both rings emerge. So Kelsey's going to try to show you.
Try to. I can't figure out how this is oriented.
There you go.
Look at it.
So you can see the white circle and you can see there's 4 pink circles. Can you see those?
Yeah.
And then there's one full white one and then a bunch of half white ones that haven't completely developed
It's so
yet.
pretty. I'm so excited. It took us a little while to put all those colors together, but I'm very happy with it.
Okay, so I'm going to show you real quick how I trim. We're going to swap out rulers and cutting mats.
So she likes to use both of the rotating cutting mats and both sizes of the add a quarter ruler.
And you'll see why, because this strip in particular is very long. It depends on your project. You know, like I said, a lot of foundation paper piecing projects are foundation paper piecing because they're so small. So you might not even need this big one for this. Okay, so here's my ugly, just my strip. And it's kind of like, well, what is this? That doesn't look very exciting. So you flip it over because there's so much excess, which is what you want because you want your whole piece covered. And I'm going to take my ruler, and this is where I'm going to use the thick side of my ruler. You know, I use it for the 1/4 inch, but now I'm going to also use it to cut against. Because I tried the thin line once, and I actually cut it. I trimmed my ruler.
Oh, because it's so
thin that I trimmed off a little shred of my ruler. It was very upsetting. Okay. Okay, and you'll see that I got a little sliver of paper here. And that's okay, because when I cut mine out, I did not cut them precisely. I didn't want to be precise, and I just wanted to be able to get it done. And then I also knew I was going to have to trim it anyway. So, and my ruler isn't even quite long enough for this whole
I feel like I'm always saying on the Sip and Sews, and I'm not going to be really precise with this.
Yeah.
I feel like I say that a lot, and then I'm like, when am I precise?
If I'm not precise now, then when am I?
I know.
I'm running into the camera and everything here, so sorry if I'm bumping. Okay. So I'm just trimming on all the outside lines and getting rid of all my scrappy scraps.
Usually there's no barriers to your rotation. If any of you guys are local, I want to remind you to stop by on Saturday from 12 to 2 for our Bag Lady shopping day.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
if you're local, we'd love to see you. Even if you're not in the Bag Lady Club, you're welcome to come shop, but Bag Lady members get the 10% discount. So if you're local, I just wanted to remind you.
Okay, ready for the grand reveal? Here it is. Da-da-da-da!
Yay! It looks so much better all trimmed up.
Can we move that for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to show you, so it looks much better trimmed up. It takes its shape, and I want to show you, I think this is cool to see it this way. Okay, so these are some that I already finished. I wanted to show you. So you can see the design on the paper gets created. Like that. Okay, and then if you flip them over, you can see the design as well with the fabric.
So pretty.
So you can see the white side and the pink side.
So this specific double wedding ring quilt has multiple designs within it. So the blues, when they all come together, they form a diamond, and the greens, when they all come together, they form stripes, and when the pinks and whites come together, they form rings.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now I'm going to move these out of the way, and I'm going to show you what it looks like once I've sewn it all together. Okay, here's one that I've sewn all together. Kind of a shadow there, but there's that. And then that. So I have to make 80 of these. So what I just made was C. So that was this one. Can you hold that one down? These like to flip up. I made this one that I just showed you. Okay, so that showed you I have to make 6 rows, and they're the same amount of work because they each have 5 pieces of fabric on them each row.
These
They're just
corners are
different
smaller.
sizes.
That's funny. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
It's just as much like flipping and folding and flipping and folding. Okay.
And then to tear it out, it's actually pretty easy.
Yeah. So to tear it off, you just get a hold of the paper. And because I use the 1.8 inch, it just rips right off. And the thing I love about this project is that there's so many stages to it. So I can make a bunch of these, and then if I don't feel like sitting at my machine and sewing, then I can just take my pile and go rip while I'm like watching a movie or listening to one of my kids' woes. I have 5 kids, so there's lots of woes.
That's very funny.
So you kind of rips off by section because of the, the nature of the project.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Yes, I think so, Jane. I really do. I mean, I've never curve pieced, so I can't compare. But I watched my sister do it, and it was just a different skill, you know.
It probably takes similar amounts of time because this is going to take forever. But if you're going to spend forever on a project, you want to make sure it's a technique you enjoy doing.
Yeah, and I just really enjoy it. If you're a puzzle, I think this technique appeals to puzzle lovers because it's like putting puzzle pieces together.
Mm.
Okay.
She really wanted Matthew to see how this quilt was going to be created because she's like, I'm not just going to give this to you one day. You're going to be like, oh, thanks, and throw it on your bed.
And like, look, it's a blanket.
It's a blanket. And so she was like, I want you to see how it's made. And I did too. I wanted him to see it. So she showed him exactly what she just showed you. And he was like, wait, so he's a math guy. He was like, how many of these strips do you have to make? And then how long does it take per strip? Okay. And then how many strips are in a block? Okay, multiply that by. Yeah. And then how many blocks are in like the whole 80? Multiply. So it's going to take you this many hours.
Yeah. I was like, yes.
Yes. And he was like, wow.
So I think that's really great because, you know, it's not that I want him to feel bad, but I do want him to appreciate it, you know?
Appreciation is really hard for people who aren't quilters. Yes. To give them something you spend so much time on.
Yes. So getting him to, and he was a very willing participant. Mm-hmm. He was like, okay, yeah, show me how to do it.
I have a cute picture of him watching.
Oh, you do? Okay, so that's the paper ripping part. All right, so you guys ready to watch Kelsey do it?
I'll try it. This is literally my first time ever trying. I talk like I know what I'm doing because I've watched her do it, but I've never actually done it.
So we'll see how. So we need this, and
Susan said, "You're making this look so easy." Sue, we are located in Northern Kentucky, so if that sounds like close to you, then you can Google it to find our exact address. But we are in Northern Kentucky, right outside of Cincinnati. Kat, we do not have a long arm, unfortunately. I really would love to get one day, but we don't right now. You can get the husbands and boyfriends to do the ripping part.
There you go, Sue. That's a good idea.
A quick curve ruler. We have not yet. Oh. I know what you're talking about, but I haven't tried it.
I'd like to tackle that someday, learning how to do that.
Your father-in-law said only a woman would take fabric, cut it up, and sew it back together.
Yeah. Okay, you want to switch spots?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fran says when people call them blankets,
I know.
Okay, so Matt does construction, and he, works with all these people that are also his friends, so we hang out with them sometimes, and so we're all kind of friends. I'm friends with their wives and stuff like that, and they have all kind of teased Matt a little bit about the quilt shop because, he'll participate in some things now. He went to the quilt show the other week, and they're like, oh, hey, Matt, how's your yarn shop doing? Or, oh, how's the thread business? And the other day they said, hey, Kelsey, how's the blanket stuff going? And I was like,
they knew the word.
The B word. Okay, I don't know the pattern, so what's the dot?
Okay, so the dot is green, and it's the smaller green.
I thought that solid was green.
Well, on that one, I was looking at that. I was like, this must have copied weird because it didn't have the dots on it.
Okay.
But it is supposed to have.
Okay, so the solid is green, so the small one. We're going to do wrong sides together.
Very good.
Where's the pin? Oh, there's more right here. The pin. There's a whole pin cushion. Okay, so wrong sides together. And then it's plenty big enough to cover the whole thing. Do you try to make sure it's not like angled weird, like on the bias?
Yes,
Or does it
I
matter?
do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Sometimes you have to lay it down to see if you got it right. So
Oh, because it angles. I was just looking at these top ones.
Yeah, you
okay,
gotta look at the bottom too. You could scooch it a little bit.
Scooch it a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. I became a patient person, Terry. Do you want to use a smaller?
Oh, yeah.
Let's switch this back out. It's to your right.
All right.
I wish I was more patient when the kids were littler. I would have enjoyed them more. I mean, I enjoyed them very much, but.
Okay. So is this the point where I fold it?
Yes.
Okay. So I line it up on the line.
Yep. So whatever the project is, you follow the first one, and in this case, it's the center.
And then I go whoosh.
Mm-hmm.
Line this up right here. Line up that bad boy. Here we go.
And see how it's kind of weird because the pin is under there?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you cut it. Jackie, I had to purchase this pattern on Etsy.
Unfold it.
Unfold. Yep.
The lines are pink or white?
Taupe. Yeah.
Taupe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So these pieces are way bigger than these, so it looks like it doesn't really matter, but you might want to do long way.
Yeah, that's
like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is solid. Okay, so right sides together, but this is a solid. And then
and that's big enough that the angle won't matter.
Yeah. I can see how you would mess that up though. Like when you open it, then it's angled weird, and then you didn't get it all the way.
Exactly.
Okay. And I was also thinking, like, what if you accidentally didn't, like, have it folded flat on the paper and you, like, lined it up like this and there's a soda bubble into it?
Yes, I've done that too.
Okay. So make sure it's flat so you don't sew a bubble.
Yeah, do you see what she's saying? Like, sometimes when you're working trying to get the edges lined up, you accidentally scooch it back on the paper and then you create a bubble in the fabric. So you just want to make sure that it's flat.
Okay. So now I sew it on the line.
Yep. Flip and sew.
Okay.
Amanda's saying, I feel that way now almost every night at bedtime. I wish I was more patient and a better mama. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I love them so very much, but I'm also usually more than ready for their bedtime. Yes, absolutely, Amanda. Man, bedtime, it's like I lived for 8 p.m. some nights. Vanessa, this quilt is not a subscription. If you weren't here at the beginning, I'll just show you really quick what our subscription is while Kelsey's working on it.
You don't have the press your foot button that my machine has.
Oh, yeah. You have to push an extra to do an extra job. So this is called Super Cute Paper Piecing, this book. Whoa. Here we go. Super Cute Paper Piecing. And it has all these different projects in it. Watering can. I have the samples here. They're easier to look at. So that's the subscription that we're doing. This quilt would not be a very fun subscription because it's the same thing over and over and over again. The subscription is like different projects. There's an apple pouch. There's this little grandmother's flower garden bowl, which I use as like a mint bowl or a candy bowl. Then there is another zipper pouch that has a really cute zipper pull on it. I don't know if you can see that. It's a pair of scissors. This is in the kit. And then it has just this little like a skirt. How's she doing?
I'm trying.
You're doing good.
And then my fold.
And then there's a butterfly. This is a long strap. It's like a crossbody bag. butterfly bag. This is a linen. The fabric for the bag is linen.
It's really cute. I love the texture.
Yeah, I want to steal this.
The one I'm actually about to use, this is a French General Solid, which has the linen print on it. So I don't know if you can tell. It actually has a little bit of a print, so it looks like it's a linen, but it's not.
We're getting some shadows, so it's kind of...
It's getting darker in here. It was all nice and light. Okay, we open it. We line it up right sides together.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's going to be angled funny.
Yep, so you want to scooch down
a
little
way.
bit.
So do you like go like this to see if it'll cover?
Yeah, and it's okay if it leaves like that little tip. That's okay.
Because it's in the seam allowance.
Right.
Okay.
I've learned that because I had to test that. Let's see if this helps. This light. Does that help at all? The shadows?
It kind of makes more shadows, but then it also makes it a little lighter. I don't know. Okay, so is that good? And
Yep,
then I sew?
that's good. Yep. Lots of flipping. Do any of you have daughters that, see, Jane says, not really, not just women. We have a gentleman in my quilt guild who does beautiful work. Oh, wow, he made a wall hanging of his house and garage and put a barn on. That's so cool. A barn quilt on the garage with foundation paper piecing. That's really cool. Yeah, Vanessa, that's right.
We really don't have that many like quilt patterns, but we should get more.
Yeah.
If you guys have any quilt foundation paper piece and quilt pattern, see, this catches me off guard because it's not sewn down.
That's okay. It's not sewn down. That's a good point. So you guys see how, remember when we stop sewing on this side, we don't sew into the seam allowance. So when you flip it over and you fold it back, this is not sewn down. So that can throw you off if you're a quilter. You're like, whoa, I forgot to finish my seam. Yeah. But it's fine. So that's the way it's good. Yeah.
Okay. Sue, we're located in northern Kentucky. Okay, so now now I go to the other side, so I'm back to my folding on this line.
That's right.
To fold the other side of the middle.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, anyways, like I was saying, if you guys have any like foundation paper piece and quilt patterns you're interested in, let us know and we can get them.
Yeah,
because I'd love to add some of those to our inventory. Okay. Let me open it. And this is pink, squiggly line.
Yep, that's right.
Right sides together.
Mm-hmm.
Take these. And I don't really have to worry because it's so big.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now I sew on the line.
Jennifer says, my daughter has really taken an interest in English paper piecing after watching your video.
Oh, that's fun.
That's cool. How old's your daughter, Jennifer? Ginger says, my niece is going to help me help make the table runner kit we got from you. My daughter isn't interested yet. Maybe one day. Oh, that's awesome, Ginger. Your niece was so sweet. It was nice meeting her the other day. And then Robin says, my daughter just passed her final today in nursing school. I've tried to get her interested in quilting. That is awesome. I love that. Just the family piece of that. Ginger with her niece, and then Jennifer and Robin trying to get their daughters interested in it. That's so cool.
I would really love, I don't know how old your guys' daughters are, but I would really love to get attract younger quilters and sewers. So I've always been interested in it, but I've always been the youngest. Like whenever we go to quilt shows or like when we were in a quilt guild, like things like that, I've always been the youngest in those situations. Every now and then there'll be someone else my age, but usually I'm the youngest by like 20 years.
23. Oh, yeah. They're doing a Sherry and Chelsea quilt together called Bloom.
Remember that is that the EPP
one? Yeah.
That's what she's saying?
She said that
her
daughter is really... taken.
That's awesome. I love that. Yep, I know exactly what pattern you're talking about. One of Sherry and Chelsea's other quilt patterns called Summer Fun is going to be a subscription starting in May.
I think it's May.
May. And that has some EPP, only 3 EPP blocks. The rest are traditionally pieced, but if she likes that pattern, you guys might like that subscription as well.
And then Ginger's saying that her niece is about your age. She's about to turn 23.
Oh, fun.
Oh, yeah.
All these 20, 22, 20. I'm 22.
So cool.
I'm 23 this year.
That's
So,
really cool. I love that. We got to keep it going to the next generation, ladies.
Yeah.
Grab a neighbor, grab a niece, grab a granddaughter.
She took no interest before that? Oh my gosh.
That's really cool.
I'm really glad that she does now. Okay. Make sure this is big enough. Is that okay?
Yeah, because it's not all the way a quarter.
Okay. All right.
Granddaughter is 9 and she wants to learn to sew. That's great, Robin. Darlene has a daughter and a granddaughter. Neither one sews, but 7-year-old great grandson is very interested. He's doing so well. Made a bowl cozy. Used several embroidery stitches on it. Now working on airplane pillow.
That is
is awesome.
I love that.
I love that, Darlene. Yeah, my other daughters, I have four daughters total, and some of them are interested to a certain degree. Like Kyra, the youngest, she's already made a big, large twin quilt.
Yeah, and she makes all of our mini charm samples that we show you guys during the live on Wednesday.
Yeah, she took that over from me, so she's doing that. That's nice. Sue Marshall says, my daughter has been quilting with me for years. She just turned 29.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
sweet.
that's great.
That'll be us.
Lauren Arnsberger says that her granddaughters are 10 and 12, and she would love it if you did something for young girls. Group sewing project, yes.
10-year-old starting to sew. Okay, so I'm putting together a little tiny, like, really small kids sewing class for some of our friends who have kids that age. But I was thinking about having a sewing guide, a teaching guide for how to teach a kid how to sew. And so I've already started thinking about it, but I want to wait until I've taught this little kids course with some of my friends' kids before I write it up and put it together. So that's going to have like kind of a mini curriculum for taking someone through like all the basic techniques and different projects you can do with them and like materials lists and pictures, and I want it to be really fun. So I will be like coming up with that probably at the end of summer, because that's when the little course I'm teaching is going to end. But yeah. Any suggestions panel today? Yeah, so Luana, that's a great option. So sometimes we have these panels that have like dolls or stuffed animals printed on them. Like Jungle Paradise had this. The Jungle Paradise had like stuffed animals. We have one right now. Well, we just sold out of it.
Yeah.
For that has mermaids, and then coming out in a couple months is going to be like a Christmas nativity scene. And in the past, there's also been like cowboy and cowgirl and stuff like that. And that's a really easy way to teach kids how to sew, because the doll is already printed on the fabric. You just cut them out, sew them right sides together, and stuff it. So anything you can do that with. So like a pillow or a beanbag or something like that that you can just sew around and then stuff is a great like first thing, especially when they're like 6 or 7. That might be a really easy thing to start them out with. I remember teaching my cousin Jordan, who's a year older than me, but I taught him when I was like 10 and he was like 11 how to make a beanbag.
Yeah.
And he was so proud of himself, and he would play with the beanbag all the time. He was like, I made this beanbag all by myself. So I remember that feeling was super fun. Okay, so I'm going to trim this now. Line this up with my black line. So you do it with like the outside of the black?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right, got all those pieces.
So it gets really, really scrappy around here with all these things you're trimming off. So I'm saving all of my scraps. You can see. I thought maybe I'll make a pillow for them and fill it with the scraps. I don't know. It seems like they'd be good for something. because they're really good for nothing else. I mean, look how small they are.
They would be cute, like in like a jar, or I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
it'd be a cute decoration because if the colors you like.
Sorry, if you can read that.
That's so cool, Amanda. You're already teaching her how to hoard fabric and stuffing pillows. Maria said, right before COVID, I took 2 of my machines into my daughter's 5th grade class and showed them how to sew. On one machine, I had them sew on the lines of paper without thread, and then I had them sew little bookmarks. They loved it. That's so cool.
That's really cute.
After cutting myself with a rotary cutter, I cringe every time I cut something. Oh, I bet.
Oh, that's not fun. I finished it, guys. Look, I made one.
She did it. Yay. Just after one lesson. Okay, so now we're going to switch spots again, and I'm going to show you how to sew these together. Play musical chairs here.
Kids are very quick to learn. My granddaughters were young, and I just started with simple projects: pillows, doll, animal blankets, pillowcases, pajama pants, drawstring bags. Yes, Lauren, those are all great places to start, kids. I started sewing when I was 6. I don't really remember my first project, but I remember lots of my
There we go.
together.
I'm like,
But I do remember lots of the first things I made. I did take a sewing class. Well, how old was I when I took that sewing class? I'd help.
12 maybe?
I was
11?
I knew the most in the whole class, so I ended up just helping her most of the time.
Like 12 or 13 or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to sew this together, and this is good. I'm trying to get it where you can see the whole thing. This is good where you can see why, you don't sew into the seam allowance, okay? So what it should look like, how you should line it up is going to be different depending on your project. But I'll show you what I mean by that on my project so that when you do it with yours. Okay, so is this a good angle? See how my pinks are the fold of my pinks are going to touch each other and the fold of my whites. I have to line it up just right so that when I open it up, it's good to go. And then I just pin once, because I found if I pin more than once, it gets it off. It like messes with it, and I think because of the paper being in there, it's too thick, and it kind of like moves it, and then it's not lined up. So I just pin it once, kind of off centered. And another trick I learned, again, this might just be my project because my seam is so long. I start in the middle and sew this way with it. And that way, if I mess it up, I can open it up and like test it. And if I mess it up, I only have to rip out half of the seam.
That's smart.
Because sometimes it gets off and it might, my seams aren't matching up. And with the paper, it just makes it a little bit more difficult. Okay, I don't know if you want the camera to see this part.
Sure.
I'm just going to follow the line. One thing I did learn is that I'm using the line on the paper. I'm not using the lines on my machine, or I'm not even getting out my 1/4" foot. I'm just using the paper as the guide. And sometimes these long pieces on the end can get kind of floppy and like move around. So you want to make sure it gets back on track before you sew it down.
Someone's asking if you could use the glue for this pin, but I think that's probably less because you're pinning 2 pieces together instead of like pinning it to the paper.
Yeah, right. Less effective probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to up my stitch length to 2. I'm making it a little bit longer, so if I have to rip it, it's not as hard. The stitches are a little bit longer.
Do you ever use the Wonder Clips for pinning?
I don't. I think you could with this project. I think that would be fine. A little
thicker.
Yeah. I did learn you want to make sure you sew all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to back tack a few stitches. Okay, and then I test it here to see. Take my pen out.
Nice.
Bam! So that, I'm happy with that, the way those. Nice. So now I'm going to turn it around and finish the seam. I'm going to show them the finished one.
I know, I'm going to read this. Save my scraps for my daughter, an elementary art teacher. That's fun. She's planning a project for the students to create mosaics. That's a great idea.
That's a really good idea.
Granddaughter, age 9, wants to learn how to sew, but she says for fun, don't like all those rulers and stuff. So I told her to go for the seams that were all different sizes, and we trimmed them up. I just smiled. She ended up making a crazy quilt. I was going to say a crazy quilt seems good for someone like that. Yeah. Or Grandma just used the scrap tape to, I don't know how to verbally describe it. It's like...
make a scrappy border.
Yeah, it's like a sheer interfacing type thing that comes on a roll, cut 2.5 inches. And you can just sew fabric on it, like right sides together, flip, right sides together, flip, like in any way, shape, and form, and then trim it to the size of the tape. And you've created like kind of a crazy quilt, but in like a 2.5 inch strip. And she used it as a border on a quilt, and it was really, really cute. Or a crumb quilt.
My grandmother taught me to sew. I love that, Darlene. She's very patient, and I was very young. That's so cool.
Yeah, my grandma definitely helped me learn how to sew, too. It was between my grandma and my mom.
Yeah. Okay, let's do one more thing on the camera angle down, just real quick. Okay, so I'll show you what we just did. Okay, this is one I just sewed together. So open it up, and voila, you can tell it's like the middle of the design. Okay, so then I have found that when I open it up, I like to open it up one way, and then I fold the seam over the other way too, because when it comes to time to ripping it, that just helps it rip easier. So fold the seam both ways a couple times. Okay, and then voila.
Magic.
Magic. There's a fully finished one. This is one I showed you earlier. Has all the paper still on it, except that I ripped that one off to show you.
Yay.
And that's it.
That's awesome. I definitely am very interested in making some of the super cute paper piecing projects. They just look so fun to me. I love making bags too.
Yes.
So it's foundation paper piecing, which I've been eyeing for a while, and bags. So that subscription starts in July, and it's only 6 months long, so it's not a full year commitment.
Yeah.
And to give you guys an idea, most of the bag kits in our shop are like $39.99 for a kit, but this is $29.99 a month, and you'll have 6 bags. So it's cheaper like per bag than some individual bags. So you can think about it that way as well. But this was super fun.
Good. Yeah. I had a good
it.
time. Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, thanks guys for watching.
There's not much left that the skills that Kelsey doesn't know that I haven't passed on to her yet. So that was a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys are welcome to rewatch this whenever you want. This video will be available on our Facebook page for you to replay. It's also going to be available on our website. There's a little link on our menu that says Facebook Live videos, and one of the things is Sip and Sew, and all of the Sip and Sews will be available there. But we also have the YouTube video, which is just like a 10 or 15 minute version of a FPP tutorial. So if you want something a little bit quicker, there's also words on the screen there. If you want to be able to write down a step-by-step process, then those words on the screen might help you guys with that. But it seems like we had a lot of people watching tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. This was really fun. I'm very much looking forward to getting cozy with this quilt because I'm watching all the work go into it, and it just looks so pretty. I'm so happy with the colors and everything.
And this is when you do iron. You start ironing.
You start ironing once you have the block all put together.
And the paper. And I do. Who was asking that? I do rip the paper off after I've made the block.
Yeah, and I've seen that some people don't do that. That they rip it off after the whole quilt is made. That sounds way too overwhelming.
Yeah. That would be. Okay, so Darlene, what comes with the kit? So there's 2 different kits that we keep kind of mentioning tonight. One of them is the beginning foundation paper piecing kit. And it comes with a package of the paper piecing paper. And again, this is foundation paper piecing, not the English paper piecing. So it's a whole pack of paper, not the hexagons. Then it comes with the 2 rulers, 6-inch and 12-inch add a quarter ruler, and it comes with a seam roller. That's the foundation paper piecing starter kit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the subscription that has 6 different project kits in it. And so those are the fabric, the snaps, the
all
interfacing,
the notions, the book,
everything that you need to make the 6 projects that we picked out of this book to showcase.
So this is project 1. It gets you started. All you have to do, foundation paper piece, is the curves on the petals here. So it's the easiest project. And then we get a little bit more complicated as we go. We have a butterfly crossbody. The strap's a little bit longer. I have it all knotted up here, but the strap's a little longer on this crossbody. And then we have a little pouch with an apron, and it comes with this cute scissors zipper pull. Okay, and it has like a thick bottom here. And then we have the apple wristlet. This is actually the one I'm the most excited about. I really want to make this one. The wristlet, cute little apple on it. And then there's also a tote bag that has a watering can on it, and that's back at the shop. I didn't bring that sample here. But then this is the last thing that you would make, is the rain, rain, go away. And it has a magnetic closure that comes in the kit, everything like that.
All the trim, the little lace trim comes with it.
So
yeah,
a bunch of really cute, mostly bags, but the book has other projects as well. So if you really get into it and you want to make all the projects, there's pillows and there's pot holders.
We didn't, yeah, that's right. We didn't do these 3 projects in the subscription.
A pencil pouch, a pillow with the house on it, a little pot holder with like strawberries.
Cherries. Yeah.
Some sort of berry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the super cute paper piecing project of the month. It's on our website under subscriptions. And then there's also the foundation paper piecing starter kit.
Yeah.
It's either starter kit or beginner kit. That's on our website as well.
Yeah.
If you have like the roller and you just want the ruler, that's available as well. And if you can't find it on our website, that might mean it's out of stock. So just send us a message if you have any questions. If you'd like to be put on a wait list for something.
Yeah, and we can sell you any of those items individually. Mm-hmm. That's fine. But if you are like, oh, I'm brand new, I don't have anything, then we put the kit together for that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. It seems like a lot of you guys might have gotten inspired or learned something new. So that's exciting. That's what this program is here for, every Thursday night. Except next week. I will be gone next week. I'll post a reminder, but next week will be canceled. Matthew is in a wedding and we're going to the rehearsal dinner. So, and then 2 weeks of my wedding will also be the week of my wedding and the week after will also be canceled, but I'll also remind you guys of that. But 2 weeks from now, we're going to be working on hand embroidery. So I'm going to be doing all of the more complicated hand embroidery stitches that I did not do in the last video. So that is the next Sip and Sew. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye. Bye.